are now checking out
the Win Podcast,
where the everyday people
are the celebrities.
So let's get to know them.
First of all, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Well, who I am, I'm a person of deep faith. I'm a father, a husband, a son, a brother, an uncle. I think I am the dichotomy that is a lot of artists. Like, I'm shy and humble, but I'm also a singer and an actor. I'm quiet, but I could talk a lot if I can. I have a lot to say sometimes. I'm very proud of my Puerto Rican blood and culture and family. And I'm a creative guy, a big dreamer, I have big dreams. I think I'm still a kid. I'm still a kid. I can't believe I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be 50 next month.
Oh wow, you're a big ass kid.
I'm gonna be 50 next month, and I still.
You look great.
Thanks.
You look like you're in your 30s, to be honest.
That's right. That's right. That's the fight.
Yeah.
That's the fight to stay 30. I think part of it is I still see myself as a little kid. A part of me still hasn't grown up.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful because I feel like as we continue to grow in society, we lose that inner child in us, and it seems like you're fighting to look like you're 30 years old. You're fighting and still keeping that child within. Mm-hmm. How did you get into the arts? Like, did it start as a young kid, watching TV or maybe be inspired to some people in the family members? When did that first attract to you? It was like, hey, that's dope. I want to look into that.
It's funny you ask because I got into the arts when I was about 12. Yeah, I was 12. I auditioned for this program. It was the District 12 After School Performing Arts program. I was in junior high school, and our piano teacher, Adam Baboff, he told us about the program and about auditions, and I opened my mouth. I said, "Oh yeah, I like that stuff." And my best friend said, "You like that stuff?" I said, "Yeah, I like that stuff." So I auditioned, I got in, and that's when I started doing musical theater.
So when you said, "I like that stuff," so take me before the 12 years old. I guess you was watching television or watching others that you like within building up a little bit, but like, wow.
I think
it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think listening to music, of course watching the cartoons and TV, but I wasn't really into like, I like acting, I want to be an actor, I want to be a singer. I never thought of that.
Until that moment came.
I just thought like, that's fun. I like that. And what's interesting, you asked me about family. What I didn't know at that time, I knew later. I come from a musical family.
Wow.
My mother, she was a good singer. She has a brother who played guitar and got himself recorded. Another cousin who was a singer, and then another cousin who was a singer. So there were musicians, there were singers in the family that I didn't know of. And I found out after the fact.
Once you started doing all these plays and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you know what? I knew my uncle. One of my uncles was a guitarist before I was 12. But it's something that I didn't think about. I never thought about that stuff until that opportunity presented itself to me, and I said, I just thought out loud. I said, yeah, I like that stuff.
It's so funny because you also said something on there that is almost like common with a lot of artistic people, and I relate to it right off the bat. The moment you said that, you're very quiet. I know for me, I've been very quiet in my life. I never felt a competition to be that type of person out there.
Right.
I can be, but I don't, if it happens naturally.
Right.
But I just explode when I'm on that stage. But I don't need to like be that person all the time. And I'm very quiet. I observe, and take notes. How was that transition for you for being quiet to now on stage and you're like blowing up? You're releasing all this energy that you had inside.
I think it's the creativity, the passion that you have for it. And when it's time to let it out, you let it out on stage. And I oftentimes say, well, the acting, leave the drama for the stage. So in real life, like, I could talk a lot, but most of the time I won't. I'll just listen more, and I'll talk, but I'm not always on.
Gotcha.
I'm not always on acting the part. I'm just relaxed, low level, just nice and calm. And then when it's time to go sing or act or be funny or crazy, I'll do that when it's time.
What came first? Because you're multi-talented with all these gifts that you use, right? You say you write, you act, you also sing.
Yes.
Which was, I guess, the first lineup that came to you first, where you maybe as a child it was like, I don't know, maybe you just started singing or something like that. It was like, oh wait, I kind of sound good. Take us through that journey of what came first, second, then third.
I think the acting and the singing came at the same time. The acting a little before the singing, because that first play that I was in, of course, when I was little, when I was in first grade, second grade, I was in the little dances that they have in school and stuff. But that's like most kids do that.
Right.
But when I was in that show, the acting came a bit before the singing. And there was a song in the play, and they needed someone to sing that song. And I think, if I remember correctly, I was the second choice. They wanted to have my friend sing it, but my friend's voice was too low to sing it. And my voice was already changing, but I was still able to hit that high note. And we did that show. I turned 13. We did the show. And then the following year, I guess after the show, I just started singing more at my house.
And then your friend just mysteriously just disappeared
he
because
was
you
in
killed
the play.
him and now you was number
He
one.
was in the play.
Okay.
He was in the play, but he didn't sing.
Okay.
He didn't sing. But I think what happened was I just started singing more and singing more. And then the following year, when my teacher heard me sing, his eyes opened and he told me, you sound better. You sound better now. And I said, oh, I've been practicing. So the acting and the singing kind of came close to the same time, but the acting a little before, and the singing came maybe a few months after.
What does singing bring to your life? What has it brought you so far within?
Singing, well, you get to, for me, I get to know my body. Because I've been singing a lot. I've been able to know my voice, my body, how it feels, to get to know myself a little more. And it's brought some artistry to it, because when in college I took classes and they taught me different ways of singing, different techniques that I use today. And depending on how my voice is, I could use one technique or another technique. So all of that is very interesting. It brought that in terms of my artistry, and it's also brought more of an appreciation for my culture, because I've learned all these. I sing at the for the Lehman College Latin Jazz Band, and I've learned a lot of songs that I just didn't know, or maybe I heard when I was little.
Right.
And I remember that song, and I would sing them. And I think singing helped me have a stronger connection to the past, my culture's past, musical past, my family's musical past. Like I would play guitar maybe 2 or 3 times just for fun.
Right.
I would play guitar, my mother would sing.
Wow.
So that kind of stuff is cool, because it just reminds me of what my culture, whether it be Puerto Rican, Dominican, or Latino, Hispanic culture, the music and the beauty that came out of all these artists that I could sing, and just maybe bring people smiles, make people cry.
Yep.
Like I would sing at graduations at Lehman College. I would sing a few years, maybe 2 or 3 years. I sang one of these nostalgic Puerto Rican songs, and I'm singing, and I see the Puerto Ricans crying.
Wow.
crying, and I'm saying, don't cry. You're gonna make me cry. I'm singing. Come on, I'm working here. Don't make me cry. So I think singing helped bring that connection a lot stronger with my culture, with the artistry that is song.
I think that's a beautiful thing because, like, you know, with the music that we hear now, what they're promoting now, because there's still a lot of great artists that are singing that we don't know that are singing from within. I think what it lost now, what they're promoting, is that feeling that comes from within. Like, I always grew up on the older music. You know, I would grab the records of Hector Lavoe, Johnny Pacheco, Celia Cruz, Chel Felici. I would go deep and deep, even deeper than them. And my mom was like, how do you know these people? I was like, well, these are your records. Then I would go to Motown, all that stuff. So I would be there for years. But what attracted to me, and it seems like what attracts you, is this deep connection of meaning within, and what this song can really bring to you and others if you sing it in a mindset that puts you there. You know, for instance, you see these people crying. They're really crying because not only that you're connected to it, it's bringing them back to something that connected to them. And I think that's something that the human people are losing, is just in touch with their vulnerability and emotion. And I think that's beautiful that you have that gift to do that, because not everybody can do that, honestly. You know, we could watch people and we'll feel some type of way, but to make someone go back in their mind somehow and to cry, it is a beautiful gift, you know. So kudos to you for having that within you and connecting to that. So what I want to know, who inspired you like artist wise to continue on and maybe know more about your voice. So you know you probably saw someone's like, oh, that's cool, I don't want to be like him, but I'm gonna use this little inspiration to continue on to find me.
It's funny you say that, because growing up, I think inspire is a strong word. I just listen to a lot of radio, but this is radio from like the 80s.
The good radio.
You know, I just remember the rhythms and the songs being heard out in the street, out in the park, at the beach. Listening to Hector Lavoe in Puerto Rico, La Fiesta Patronal in Puerto Rico, singing El Cantante, you know. And later on in life,
I'm so jealous of your age. Like, I will look at YouTube stuff now, and I'm like, I would tell myself, if only I can live that moment right now. Like, when they brought all that stuff here and they would perform in New York, I'm like, and like probably half of those people didn't appreciate it, and the other half, they're probably dead now. Then the other half, they remember it. I'm like, if you only knew what you had. Now I have mumbling rap. Like, you know, now I don't understand this music. But
And later on, when I learned to appreciate the artists and the singers and the genres, Imael Rivera, he's the man. Of course, Hector Lavoe. And in acting, it was Marlon Brando. I still think he's the best. Montgomery Clift was right there with him. So those were the guys. When I see them act, okay, that's I want to be at. If only I could be in that neighborhood, in that ballpark. And with the singing, like I said, those salseros, and today, I appreciate the singers who sing and get better, like Luis Miguel. Again, I don't know him personally, but I hear him when he was 18. I hear him when he's 30. I hear him when he's 40. I think he's about 48 right now. I respect him as an artist because he got better. He got better as he went on. Of course, there's a lot of paparazzi around him and whatever, but as an artist, his art is singing. He's gotten better.
It's so funny you said that, because it takes me back to one of my singing coaches, and she says something. She says, you know, your voice gets better with age. And I'm like, she says, like a tree, you know, it's going to keep growing and growing, and you're going to blossom. And like, it kind of like, I made the connection. I was like, wow. But I made the connection even more through you when you just said that. Because, you know, by you watching, you know, Luis Miguel, you know, you saw the transformation. And maybe you can agree how your voice has changed, you know, for better, and also maybe is getting different because I'm getting older. So there's certain things I probably can't do anymore, but it probably got more richer.
Yeah. The voice got rich. It got richer. Today, I could hit lower notes and higher notes than when I was 13, 14. And growing up, going back to inspirations, growing up, I really looked up to Prince. I thought he was a musical genius. He was a kind of crazy back then.
Yeah.
He was really crazy, but he was a musical genius. I really appreciated how he could like go into a studio and do all the voices, play all the instruments. It's like, whoa, this guy is, and he was like in his early 20s doing Purple Rain and all of that. And he's one artist that I respected.
Now, when you are starting to create your own stuff, what inspires you? What do you pull from your life to create?
Right. Well, it's good that you ask that because that's what I do. If I write something, let's say a one-act play or a full-length play, I take from what I know. I'm not creative enough. I'm not, I think, arrogant enough to try to write about something I don't know about. I can't do that. So what I do, I listen. I listen to a lot of stories my mother used to tell me when she was younger, of stuff that happened to her and her family, stuff that happened to her. I listen to my father and other people, just older people. I'm very interested in talking to people who've experienced things, and I just take that in. And then if I could write something that's inspired by that, I'll do that. In writing, that's what I do.
What have you learned from that process? Like, from taking from what you know and then performing it on stage.
Right.
What are some things you learned about yourself during that whole transformation?
Right. I think what I learned is that I'm a good listener. I could process stories and do something with it artistically. I learned that I have a respect for what has happened. I have respect for history, and I have respect and hope for future. Hoping that we learn from history.
Yep.
Because going back to an experience that I've had growing up in the Bronx. For the most part, I grew up in the South Bronx. I lived 1 year in Puerto Rico. South Bronx, so in the 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it was.
You know what you're
tough.
gonna see?
Yep.
You're gonna see a lot of drunk men, and I don't drink.
Right.
I don't drink. Some time ago, someone asked me why don't you drink? And I just said, well, I just don't like the taste. I just never got into it. I never got into it. And then years later, talking about what I saw as a kid, seeing the drunks, laughing at them because they couldn't get from the street to the sidewalk. That was a show right there to see a drunk trying to get his foot, over those 6 inches or whatever.
He was like, well, I don't want to do that.
It was funny. And I was asked, is that maybe why you don't drink? And I thought, maybe, I don't know. I never thought about it. I never thought about it, but I just never got into it. And my father used to drink, and he saw the trouble that he would get into with my mother. So he stopped.
Yeah, and you saw that.
I saw that.
He was like, "Oh, that's another one."
I was about maybe 13.
Yeah, he was like, "That's
And
another check. I'm not doing that."
And when did he stop? I think he stopped. No, maybe when I was a late teen. But he just said, and to this day, he would talk and say, man, I made your mother go through a lot. Not that he was a drunk. He wasn't a drunk. He was just like Friday night, got paid, let's go party with the friends.
Yep.
That kind of stuff. So he learned from that, and my mother, quite the fighter. Saying no, and he stopped. But yeah, I just maybe I see. I think I process things. I see something that I like or something that I don't like, and it does something to me, and then I act or react or don't act at all or decide or make certain decisions based on that.
And that's great because I want to dig into that. What passes that? What gets the green light? As in what you've been experiencing, what you've been observing.
Right.
What makes the next step to now you say, I want to create something about that. Because you've been absorbing for all these years, and then you just have this moment. I'm gonna put it
Right.
on a page, then on the stage. So take us down that process. What makes the cut to be like, I have something here and I want to do it.
Right. I think that's it. Like the want to do it. Because if I'm gonna write something, it's because I want to say something. And depending on how big, how strong that urge is to say that something, it's gonna make me write.
So with that process, how do you, because with anything that you want to put up on stage or try to overcome, how do you overcome or deal with the fears and insecurities that comes along within yourself and everyone to actually pull this off, or just to shoot that negative voice and be like, I'm just going to do it, I'm not going to listen to you? How do you deal with that during that whole process?
That's an interesting question because I don't think about it.
You don't? You're like the first person that I ever heard that said that.
If I'm going to write something, if I have it in my mind, I'm gonna write this. This is a story I want to write. This is what I want to say. I just go and do it.
So you don't have
I don't think about
the doubts of like, if someone's gonna think of this, can I do this? You don't have that in your mind coming into it.
That comes me editing the story and being critical of it comes after I just throw it all out.
Wow. So then you have this beautiful, blissful, peaceful moment where it's like, I'm no filter, I'm just writing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing that's entering this bubble until after.
After then, I've written plays. I've written scenes where I'm typing and I'm crying. I'm typing and crying. I'm not thinking about, are people going to like this? How many actors or how many characters... How long this is this commercial?
Wow.
Does this have a niche here or a niche there? I don't think about that at all. I'm just writing. Writing. It's like I'm riding a wave. I'm riding a wave almost like something's pushing me. Like something in me or something behind me or above me or bigger than me is pushing me. I'm getting goosebumps. And I just write. I just write and write and write, and then later when I start thinking about, okay, this is a play, I'm a director, I'm an actor, let me see this word, then I start. But the story, what I want to,
it's so amazing to hear that, because for me, I can relate to it. Because that is the number one advice that I always got, and I want to give to others when they want to create something. And I just say, just write. And they come with a million questions. I'm through discipline, I got to a place where I'll probably still have it from the first day that I know I need to start writing something. I'm like, I could feel what I'm letting enter, and then I reach where you at. We're like, no, block out and just write. But it's so amazing to hear that you haven't struggled with that. You just write, and you said, well, afterwards, then the questions come, because now I'm going to allow the critiques from me and whatever society is going to put on me.
Right.
But I find that so beautiful and unique, and a gift that you didn't allow that to happen at all. You didn't even know what was that for you until afterwards, which is it's coming from a pure place from you. I think that was...
And it's your own wall. It's your own wall. If you start thinking about it, will this scene work, or will these characters work? It could create a wall, and it could stop you. So if you're going to do that, you have to know how to do that and continue. I have several ideas in my mind, and I've had them in my mind for years. My mind is funny like that, where I could have an idea, and it's just brewing. It's just brewing in my mind,
It's like a seed that's in there, slowly taking its time to grow.
And then when it's time to sit down and write, I write. There's a play that I started writing a few years ago, and I stopped, go, but then I go back. Will this thing work? Well, that's not good. That's not how I do things. So I just left it alone. And soon I'm gonna look back at it, but I think I'll just look back at it and just do what I do. Because it's been brewing in my mind for about 5 years now.
So it's time.
Yeah,
it's time to look into it.
I wrote some stuff, but I put a stop to it, And then I started, okay, but this scene and this, and started doing all of that stuff, and it's like, no, it doesn't work.
It's so funny because I remember there when I was creating my first play, and someone asked me a question, what made you write it or something like that, and I said, well, it was haunting me. These voices in my head that I had were haunting me, and not in the sense like, ooh, but like haunting me, like you need to write, you need to write, you need to write, you need to get this out. And finally, I was suffocating myself. And the moment I finally touched down, I started writing, and it was releasing.
Yeah.
So I can relate to that when you said, like I can feel what you're feeling, because I'm like, oh snap, I know that feeling for 5 years having or whatever in your head is these fucking voices within you, the positive, just saying, yo, I wanna whatever's in here, I wanna get out now. But you're holding me back right now. Let's get it out.
Right. With voices, do you hear the characters sing the lines?
Oh yes, yep. I will see the vision. It's like, for me, it's like I would say my spirit is giving me these messages. I will see the vision of me on stage doing the character. I will hear the voices of the person. If I'm on the train and I'm listening to music, all of a sudden I get the idea and I have to go on my phone and write it and stuff like that, because these are moments that are sparking something in my brain that allow me, since I feel like as artists, and I was sharing with my wife, I was like, yo, artist comes from a different universe or something. Like you have, I guess, the one side of human beings, right, that are just like whatever, the 9-to-5s, whatever, stuff like that, doctors, firemen, and then you have artists. And our brains are wrapped differently, I feel, because we can have this conversation, talk about, do you hear the voices of the character? Do you feel the spirit of someone behind you? And then like,
other people think we're crazy.
Yes, exactly. They won't relate. And I just made this connection. It's like, no, we come from somewhere else, where, because our mind is already wrapped and created to think outside the box and think deeper, from like, we already come down with this consciousness of us to absorb, create, transform, and release, and be a voice for ourselves and others that don't have this brain that they was created. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that makes sense. It makes sense.
So like, by you talking, like right now, we both connected. It's like, oh, I have that voice too. Like, you know what I'm saying? But we're fine with it. It's like, yo, I think you take this pill.
We're like, I know this doctor.
yeah. We're like, oh man, we should switch voices tomorrow. Like,
yeah. No, I see. I hear the voices of the characters. I see the scenes. I see the moments. And sometimes just thinking about them, it moves me. I get very emotional just seeing it or hearing it, and it's almost like I'm experiencing something that hasn't happened yet, but I know someday it will. And I'm like, yes, when I think about that moment, yes. And it's happened. It's happened. Like I wrote a play. There was two actors, and they did the play, and there was a moment where I'm just sitting in the back, just watching them do what they're doing, and it was what I thought it would be, and it was a very emotional thing for me. I'm like, yes.
What were you feeling in that moment?
Just happiness that it was, like joy that what I had in my brain, I was able to take out, put on paper, and then create something from nothing. Like, we're in our minds, you're talking about the artists, that we're different, our minds are in tune to something that can't be seen, can't be heard, can't be felt. It's not tangible. And then when we create it, it's tangible because it's on paper. And then when we produce it, it's tangible because people are seeing it. And it's tangible because people are laughing with it, they're getting upset with it, or they're crying because of it, and it's a moment of joy to, like, wow, like what I had in my brain, what I had in my mind, and no one knew about it. It didn't exist. It just existed in my mind, and now it exists. Now it's there for everyone, whoever wants to see it and experience it. And then I was working with the actors and getting the actors to where I wanted them to be. So that's another form of artistry. And to see them acting the way I knew they could It's like, yes.
When did you get in tune with now the director side of that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here you are having to trust yourself to write, which you build the confidence to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you produce it and you learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
And now you in another area where you have to trust actors with your stuff and hoping they
Right.
can perform it to how you envision it.
Right,
So
right.
it has to be now you're working a different hat now.
Right.
Where how did you get that experience, or what made you
Right,
it was
right.
like, now I want to direct this?
Directing happened by accident because I wrote a play and I wanted someone else to direct it because I wrote it. So it's okay, I wrote it. I shouldn't direct it. I have someone else direct it. That didn't work out. And I had to step in. Maybe like 3 weeks before showtime.
Mm-hmm.
So, and since I studied acting, I understood the actors. I understood, all the issues that actors have.
Yeah.
So I was able to work with the guys.
The voices.
And,
right?
and one of them told me, Felix, why don't you do this more often? It's like you're cheating. You're cheating people. Like he was really impressed with the advice that I was giving, the pearls I was dropping,
Nice.
And that's how it happened. And I think being an actor helps me be a pretty good director for the actors. And the thing, what's cool about it is, as a writer and a director, I'm able to let go of certain things like control. I know that the actors are creative too, and they have stuff to bring to the table as well. So I could have some ideas, but they could have some ideas that are just as good. And it's a collaboration.
So you just you kill your ego and pride. You don't come in with that. You
Right.
stay open
Right.
to know
Right.
that this
Mm-hmm.
can change at any moment for better.
Mm-hmm.
That they,
Right.
It's like, I remember I used to say, if I in a writer circle, I don't want 5 writers that write like Rick, because I know how I write. I want different writers around me to
Right.
make me better and to learn
With
from.
different experiences, different points of view.
Right.
Yeah, so the actors, they'll bring stuff. And that's why I like to, if I'm going to work with actors, I like to work with actors that I know and trust. And that's also difficult because you have to get other actors too,
Yeah.
and learn from them. And sometimes that could be an issue. Sometimes actors don't bring what they need to bring, and that's frustrating.
So in that moment, what do you do?
Just keep on directing, keep
Okay.
on helping, keep on trying to nurture, try to help, try to push, nicely push
Right,
them
right.
to get to a certain point. And then sometimes just letting go. Sometimes you have to let go. So I know how good this scene could be. I'm confident that this scene or this play could be this good. If this actor brings it, great. If this actor doesn't bring it, next time.
Yeah.
Let the actor bring what he brings. Let him hopefully learn. I'll learn from it.
Right.
And maybe I'll take something from it. I always take something
Yeah.
from it, I think, and I hope. And hopefully they'll bring something, or they'll take something, learn something from it. But just let go and let them use their creativity too. Because if not, then I'm just a puppeteer. Like, stand up here,
Yep.
sit down there, face this way, face that way, say it like this, say it like that. Because I can't tell them how to say it. Because if I give them a line reading, I'm a bad director. I'm being a puppet master. Just say it the way you as an actor are feeling it, and me as a director, I'll give you what I need to give you and see where you take it as an actor. But there's a lot of letting go, because my style can't be do it the way I do it, because then for that I just
You might as well just play everything. Do all the characters.
Do a one man,
Yeah.
Do a one man show with a lot of characters, which is something maybe I could do in the future.
And it's so funny because then the biggest lesson again will come with trust again. Because even if you end up doing a woman play, a big part of that lesson now is to let go. Because how you envision maybe these couple characters, now the character's living within you and wants to, like, I have my own way too, and I want to say it this way. So you, no matter how you put yourself, the lesson that you learn of letting go and just trusting will come again, even if it was a one-man play.
And then to trust another eye because you need someone. It's always good to have someone see you and let you know what you're not seeing because you're so in it. And if you can't get on that balcony and see what's happening, you need someone else that you trust to say, okay, that's a good moment. I see that you had an urge to do something there. Work with that, and oh yeah, that's right. I felt that. Yeah,
I think that's so key because it's like just like in boxing, you have a corner man, you have your corner man, and you have the trainer there telling you what you're doing. And I relate to that because I remember there's a moment with my spiritual teacher, also the director for the show, Guru Enlightenment. There was a show that I did, and I missed a part. I didn't feel I was rushing. And we was going back and forth. I'm not even arguing. She's like, you rushed. I said, but I don't feel like I rushed. She's like, you rushed. That's why you forgot it. I said, but I felt good. You know, I said, I did it, but I know. I just had a little blank there. She's like, because you rushed. So finally, after me just shutting the fuck up, I just went back home. And the moment, the character, the spirit relived the moment to me. And I said, you know what? I rushed. I was like, I get it. And I said, and it's so crucial to have that person there. Because when we're in the moment, we're first of all, we're not supposed to feel, you're rushing now. You know, you're supposed to be in it.
Yeah.
So to have someone watching you, that's their move. They're watching your every pinpoint.
Right.
And you're supposed to trust their note.
Yeah,
because,
they're there for you, yeah.
Exactly. Because as the actor, as the person, you're getting lost in those moments. You're not supposed to be worrying about anything else or calculating, because then that's the moment that you take yourself out of it. Right. So having someone that you trust is very key. And if you have that relationship with that person, you know, that's why boxers get, you know, great trainers to get them to that next level. Right. You know, because they feel like, oh, I'm good, but I know I can become great with another eye. Yeah. So I think that's very important that you share that to have someone.
It's interesting you use the boxing analogy. I used that years ago with an actor, because you have your corner man and he's seeing things that you won't see because you're so into it. And if you don't listen to your corner man, sometimes you're gonna get punched in the face. Right.
and that's when those moments happen, which happens to anyone. Maybe you blank on a part, or you know, you just felt off somewhere. You know, you'll feel it, and then the corner man can confirm it. Yes. You know why? Because at this moment here in the play, you jumped, or you didn't relax to get to the next part. Yeah. And then you're like, you think about it, you just have to kill that part of just trying to fire back, and you have to sit down like, yeah, you're right, you're absolutely right, and that's how you build off of that to get better.
Yes, that it's like a juggling act, or it's a combination of being relaxed, having the tension when you need it, and being relaxed when you need it. Like Joe DiMaggio, I don't know the exact quote, but he said about hitting, and he was a great hitter. He was one of the greatest ball players. He said that hitting is like, it's a combination of being tense when you need to be tense and being relaxed when you need to relax. And just like painting, something my father taught me, like I'm painting the wall and I'm telling him, pero papi, it's still not, todavía no está. He told me, no, you're doing it too hard. Like I was pressing. And I used that. I used that once on an actor when we were in a show, and she's like, she wasn't like, she was upset that the director was on her, and I don't know what she wants me to do, and like I wasn't supposed to give her advice because I'm not I'm not the director, I'm the actor. But I told her that story of my father when I was painting. I said, but I'm painting it, I'm putting all this paint, and it's still not white. It's still not the color. I think it was white, and he said, no, because you're pressing, you're doing it too hard. And then when I told her that, she just stopped and.
that epiphany moment, like, oh shit, those are the best moments. When you finally have something that clicked. Because look, you know, some people learn differently. You know, the director probably was explaining it in a way that he will understand and others will understand, but for her, she wasn't getting it. Here you come with this simple story, and she was like, oh shit, I'm pressing too hard.
And as actors, we always fumble over ourselves. We beat ourselves up. We mess ourselves up. Sometimes we have to step back. And it could be just a conversation after rehearsal. Or it could just be sitting down and relaxing and just artistically or creatively thinking of what you're doing as an actor. There you could have that third eye because you're not acting. You're not on stage. You're just thinking about it. And then as you work it out, then you could figure stuff out and then go back and try it out, and the director will tell you yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, for me, like the moment I get off the stage, right, I'm already reliving like the whole show, and I'm like, I want to go back. I'm like, I get better here, and I'm having that conversation with my corner man, and we'll go have like something to eat, and people are eating and celebrating. I'm like, no, I'm happy, I did it, and people enjoyed it. But let's talk about this one part where that moment. You know, I'm already giving myself notes, and like not even like beating myself up. I'm like, I saw certain things. Right. I want to already improve on it to get better. So I think that's awesome. Like you said, like having a conversation afterwards. Yeah. I think a big part of acting, and also, you know, is you being honest with yourself. You have to be completely honest with yourself, because, you know, whether what scene you're doing or even before you're going to start to write or get into it, you got to be at a right mindset with yourself, because you feel like everything you're doing is going to be great, or you're questioning everything, you're pinpointing, you're going to lose the enjoyment and the fun and the lesson of it, you know.
And back to honesty, that's a word I use a lot with actors. I like actors that are honest. When I see them on stage, that they're honest, that they're not BSing me. Because people are, you know, with the quote-unquote acting. Right. It's like, no, just go and be honest. Whether you think acting is lying or making believe or whatever, just be honest. If you think, okay, if your thing is like, I'm going to go up there, I'm an actor, I'm lying, be honest with your lies. Yes. Be honest with what you're doing. And as an actor, when you're honest, I think it really helps the performance, because you're not performing. You're just being as real as you can, natural, real, and it's all gonna come. And relaxed, because once you're relaxed, your body's gonna do things, and your body's gonna surprise you. When you're tense as an actor, it's not gonna work.
You have this wall that's blocking you, that's gonna prevent you from actually having this realistic emotion with yourself and the person on stage. I always say the acting is being honest with yourself and also listening to what's happening. Acting and reacting and knowing what's in front of you and being realistic. Like, don't yell because someone's telling you gotta yell in this moment. No. Do what you feel, how you will react. Right. Of course, if they tell you, and you had a great relationship with like your cousin, and they just tell you right now your cousin dead, and you're like, what? No way. I was like, yeah, no, like really live that moment if it really came to you. And I think for me, the biggest thing for me was to let go of thinking of how I should react and just listen and be honest with myself to take that in. Right. And I think I appreciate that in actors when I see like, oh my God, like I don't even see acting. I just see him being in the moment. Yeah. And to me, it's so beautiful. I know it takes years and years and years. The biggest advice that I got, and I told my wife this, was in improv. The guy says, listen, I can teach you what to do right, what to do wrong, these terminology, but the biggest advice I can give you is quit this class and go live life. I want you to experience pain. I want you to experience heartbreak, sadness, joy. I want you to get fucked up with life. I will refund you your money if you want, but honestly, I want you to go out there, because when you come back, do you know how much experience you're going to bring to that stage? Right. And the other kids was like laughing, and I mesmerized. I was like, no, you're right. I want to get fucked up. Like, I want to get this experience. It's going to enrich me within myself. That now if there's a scene about maybe fatherhood or whatever it is, you know, losing and hurt, I have something I can connect to.
There's something behind it. It's not just a quote unquote performance.
Yes.
And it's cool that you talk about listening, because when I get a script, you know how a lot of actors, they highlight their parts? I don't highlight my parts.
No. Okay.
And they asked me why. I said no, because what the other actor is saying is just as important as what I'm saying. I have to know what they're saying. I have to respect what it is that they're saying. And
I wish I had Funkmaster Flex that drops that bomb. I wish I had that boom, that drop that bomb moment.
Yeah.
So Felix, we got to know you now as a person, as a director, as an actor, singer. You know, the inner child. And right now, we're gonna move into a different segment. And the first segment of this interview is called "Let's Look Inside." And the first question to that is there a meaning to life? If so, what is it to you?
Love and to serve.
Great. Perfect. Right on the dot. And this next question is, if you can teach everyone one concept, what concept will have the most positive impact on humanity?
Well, I already said love. So I'll think of something else. Consideration, respect, integrity.
Dope. You're breezing through this. This is great. You know, because I love how it's coming to you. You know, it's awesome. The second segment of this interview is called "Words from My Spiritual Teacher, Guru Enlightenment." Everyone knows she's my spiritual teacher. She teaches spirituality, and she has a website and a book, and all that information will be on the description where you get to know more about her. And I always share her writings on this show. And this one comes from her website, guruenlightenment.com, and is from a passage that she wrote called Inspiration. And it goes, "Remember, inspiration always starts within you first and no one else. You're the one that knows what you need or don't need. Stop wasting your time and do what you need to do. Remember, don't go to the negative because that is not what I mean. Follow the positive journey. No one says it's going to be easy, but what is easy, right? Believe that you have a purpose, and that purpose is not to be miserable, but to be happy and be excited to follow your journey." How do you feel hearing that?
That's cool. I like what she says because she's saying it starts within you. And we always talk about, oh, this inspired me, this moved me, and it's all in us. Like, we choose. Some people give a lot of credit to something negative that happens to them, and they say, oh, I'm a better person because of that. Those are just defense mechanisms. Just give yourself credit, because you could have easily just curled up and done nothing and just been miserable. But like enlightenment says, it's within you. You can have something horrible happen to you, but in you make the choice. You make the choice to move forward in a positive way. Don't give the negative the power. The negative didn't make you do that. It was a positive inside of you. I think she might be saying something.
This relates to me. I love what you shared. And also to one up that, this reminds me of your journey, right? The inspiration that you got by listening to these stories, your family, yourself, and you inspired yourself to take that moment and to write and to create and allow that to create this world that you released, and you was no longer shy when you was writing. You became who and what you are. You allow that inspiration to take over. And then there's another part there where it was like, stop wasting your time and do what you need to do. I instantly thought about the 5 years that you're taking with this play, where you said, I need to just stop and just do it. And to me, it resembles that there's a purpose for that, for you to finally, and you were hitting on the nose. This was, I like these things when I get it, I just look at it and I don't know how it's going to relate to the person until the end. Right. And just by hearing that, I was like, wow, that was like a stamp of approval for you to be like, you know what you got to do with that play.
And you know what's crazy? There's more than one idea in my head for years.
You know?
There's more than one idea. There's more than one idea.
Thank you for checking out the episode. Please help us out by subscribing to our podcast, writing a review, sharing with a friend, or leaving a comment. Thank you. This will help us so much.